Hello and welcome back to the Academy of the Magical Art. I am Frater Ophiel, and today we are going to be discussing the tools of the craft, the tools that you would be placing on the sacred space that we discussed in the video prior to this. Now, if you were to ask one of my friends, he happens to be very druidic, he would tell you that the only tool of magic that is really important is your mind. Now, that statement holds some very, very important truth. However, it is not the only tool that is important. There are many tools that we as magical practitioners use to help us accomplish the desired goal. Now, I said in one of the first videos produced that all magic is created within the mind, and that is absolutely true. But in order to get to the part of the mind required to manifest this magic, the thelma, the true will, we need to take some steps that will help us to break through those barriers. Now, that is because we have three different layers of the mind. We have the conscious mind, the critical mind, and the subconscious mind. And this thelma that I am referring to is located within the subconscious mind. And that is where we have to go in order to manifest our magic. So many magical practitioners would tell you that it is very, very important, almost pertinent or necessary to be able to enter into a altered state of consciousness in order to be able to produce effective targeted magic. There are forms of altered states of consciousness, or hypnosis, if you will, that we put ourselves in on a daily basis without even realizing it. When you were a child, for instance, you would go outside and play with toys or whatever, and within 5 or 10 minutes of picking up that toy, or in my case, when I was a child, I was a really big fan of playing with sticks. It was real easy with me. All I needed was a couple of sticks, and I had a Tommy gun or a sword or whatever I wanted, and that stick turned to life in my hand. Well, I just entered into an altered state of consciousness, a form of hypnosis that was real to me. As adults, it's hard for us to do that from time to time, to enter into that, at least knowingly. But we are going through that critical factor of our mind and entering the subconscious, where those tools help us to create a reality that we desire, to create a desired effect. So, yes, the only true important tool in producing magic is the mind. But until that mind is under absolute control, tools are necessary to help. These tools that we will be discussing are extensions of ourselves. They are symbolic representations of inner workings. The first tool that I want to discuss is the Acme, or sword. This is the ritualistic dagger. And some people would associate this tool with air, other people with fire. As I mentioned in the video, Creating Sacred Space, there is an argument that's been going on about what element this tool correlates to. The air, because the Acme cuts through the air, or the fire, because it is forged in fire. In my opinion, that's really rather a redundant argument, just as long as the tool is being used. The Acme and the wand are both phallic tools, straight rods, and they are extensions of ourselves, used to direct energy, used to guide energy. The Acme cuts and can be used to open doors or take dominion over spirits during evocation and invocation. It is our ritual weapon, if you will. Whereas the wand is a little bit gentler. Again, the wand can be associated with fire or air, because the wand blows in the breeze while it is on the tree, or it is burned in fire. It is the very fuel of this fire. The same applies to the wand that I stated about the fire. It is really a rather redundant argument that serves no purpose other than to give people something to argue about, but it is an extension of the body. The same thing with the staff. The staff and the wand do have similarities, just as the sword and the Acme do. They are larger. They hold a different presence. They take on a different form to the body when you hold them in the hand. However, they serve the same basic function. The chalice is the third tool that I will discuss. And the chalice is the feminine principle. It is water. It is symbolic of the womb. It gathers and it holds to be poured out or birthed, if you will. It is symbolic of the gestation and the birth of magic. The chalice can be used for many different things, whether it's holding libation or offering for matrons and patrons, holding libation for yourself and the other priests and priestesses in your circle if you are not a solitary practitioner. Some people will simply use it to hold water, add a pinch of salt, and create some holy water when they are creating their magical circle. I personally have a separate dish for this, which is my holy water dish, and I have a salt dish, but we'll be getting to that in a moment. The fourth tool that I will discuss is the pentacle. Now, the pentacle is representative of earth. People will look and say, well, the pentacle represents all four elements: earth, air, fire, water, and at the top it represents spirit and the even joining of all of these things. Yes, and when these things are evenly joined and brought together in a wonderful harmony, it is able to manifest into our physical plane, where the earth. These were taught to me as being some of our core main tools, some of the main representations of the elements and very important tools to have on the altar as space holders. These tools help us to balance out the energies on the altar, balance out the energies and the vibrations of the elements, and in doing so, balance them out within ourselves. An external act as a representation of an internal act, outer temple and inner temple, if you will, or outer altar and inner altar. The next thing that I will discuss is the bell. The bell happens to be one of my favorite tools just because I love bells. I have probably what some would consider a ridiculous collection of them just because I love the way that sounds in my ear. But the bell is a representation of air, and this is used for many things. The bell can be used at the beginning of a ritual, at the end of a ritual, opening or closing sacred space, to invite spirit or to dismiss spirit, like a rattle or a drum. When doing healing work, the bell will oftentimes be used to clear energy off of the top of a body or something of that nature. Next, we will discuss the censer, the incense. Now, incense, sometimes people will get two different types of incense confused. First, we have smudge. People will use cedar, lemongrass, sage, things like that. Herbs with specific vibrations designed to clear out negative energy and prepare the sacred space. Palo Santo would be another one of these herbs, although that's a wood found in Peru. And then we have other forms of incense: frankincense, myrrh, dragon's blood, sandalwood, copal, so on and so forth. These are used to tune the energetic vibration of your environment, to set the mood of the temple, if you will, get the temperature to the right spot for the type of magic that you're trying to manifest. If you're trying to manifest money into your life, you are going to use a completely different type of incense than if you're trying to manifest love into your life. We'll be talking more about these correlations in videos to come. So if this is something that you're interested in, be sure to subscribe so you can receive an update when these videos are produced and placed on the page. We also have a book of shadows, or a magical journal. The magical journal is what I feel one of the most important tools of the craft, especially in early development. Journaling, spell work, when you do some type of magical act or ritual, when it's done, and when you see an effect of it, whether it was effective or not effective. journaling personal growth, dreams, especially if you do lucid dream work and astral travel, which is another thing that will be discussed in a video to come. In these books, you can also put correlation tables, experiences, words of wisdom, all kinds of things can be stored in this journal. But this is a reference point so that you can draw this information up upon will rather than trying to search the file bank that is your mind. Candles and lamps are extremely important as well. Candles being representative of fire, obviously, as are lamps, but these are also a source of light in the temple. I am one for classic drama, and I really, really like working via candlelight. At night when I'm up in my temple doing work, that is oftentimes the only light that I will have is candlelight or lamplight, sometimes both. Um, Sometimes you'll see that lamps can also be used, kerosene lamps in some traditions,